We are so thrilled to be partnering with Hinge. Hinge is the dating app designed to be deleted. As you all know, I'm a huge Hinge advocate as I met my partner of almost 3 years on the app. Even before meeting him, Hinge was always my go-to app because I met more relationship-minded people here and had some great dates. Clearly, I haven't been on the app for a little while, but I re-downloaded it to check out some of the new features. One that stood out to me was the voice prompt, my best friend's take on why you should date me, where your friend can hype you up. Not only does this make the profile creation less daunting, but it's not always easy to see your own green flags. So to test it out, I asked Yue some fun prompts to get her take on what I could put if I was dating again. So the first one, how long have we known each other? What was your first impression of me and how has that changed?
Julie and I have known each other for almost 10 years. My first impression of Julie was that she's very social, but I've learned that she has a lot more depth to her beyond the social butterfly that she is.
My next prompt, what do you think are my green flags?
I would say she's deeply loyal. She believes in love, curious mindset, and she is fearlessly ambitious.
And then last but not least, what kind of friend am I?
Julie is the kind of friend who will always have your back, no matter what.
Damn, that feels nice to hear. So download Hinge and try voice prompts today. Then find someone worth deleting the app for. If you've been listening to the pod, you know I'm marking my calendar for the big sale from Last Bottle Wines, one of our wonderful sponsors. If you don't already know, they're a Napa-based online wine shop that offers 30 to 70% off retail. And the best part, there's no subscriptions, no fees, and no minimum purchase, just a daily email with really great wine. And as I mentioned, they're having a massive sale. Their marathon sale is coming up on March 28th and 29th. They flip that one wine per day rule on its head and instead offer back-to-back, two-back deals. That means wines are only up on the site for a couple minutes at a time. We got a preview order with the mini marathon package of some of their favorites, and I'm telling you, it's a sale you want to get in on. And the best part is we're offering Dateable listeners 10% off your first order with code DATEABLE. Sign up at lastbottlewines.com and use the code DATEABLE and find out why Last Bottle is the most fun way to discover and buy amazing wine.
Hi, I'm Yue Xu.
And I'm Julie Krafchick.
We're active daters turned dating sociologists.
Here to dive into everything modern dating and relationships.
Welcome to the Dateable Podcast. Dateables, welcome to Brunch Talk, our Sunday edition where we answer your burning dating questions that you've all sent in. This week's question, can a relationship work if you and your partner do not get along with each other's friends?
Ooh, this is a good one. Okay, for more context, in the beginning of my relationship, I tried to make a friendship work with my partner's best friend's girlfriends, but was never truly treated with any real respect or decency. At first, my partner was somewhat aware of what was happening, but never defended me, even if he did witness mistreatment. Because of the way I've been treated, my friends now don't like my partner. Help.
Well, help indeed. It's such a terrible feeling when you don't like your partner's friends or you know that they don't like you. And there needs to be a certain level of harmony. You don't all have to be BFFs. Before a relationship to work, you have to be in harmony with each other. And this is really a chance to be an adult about it. I think to really step up and to rise above. Have a sit down with your partner about the conundrum that you're having, and then bring in the friends. I always love one-on-ones, bringing the friends one at a time to really walk them through some of the concerns, some of your hopes and dreams for how you continue forward. How much more mature is that than the retaliation route, which is, well, if you don't like me, I won't like you. I'm going to now tell my partner not to hang out with you. That's never a good recipe because you're going to build up resentment. Your partner will build up resentment. Your friends, their friends build up resentment, and then just becomes this resentment hellhole that you'll never crawl out of. And that will be the ultimate demise of your relationship.
Yeah. I mean, sure, a relationship can work out if your friends don't like your partner. We're not going to say it can't work out, but would it be a lot more peaceful and a lot better if it did? It's kind of like family too. Like, of course, you can be with someone even if their family doesn't like you. I think what's more concerning though though, for me, is that it felt like the partner didn't have her back in this. And even like going back to the family example, I think, yes, it's possible to have a relationship if someone's family doesn't like you. But if you're not by your partner's side while the family doesn't like you, then it's doomed.
Yeah.
So if your partner isn't willing to get on board and really like figure out a way for this to make with his friends or friends' partners, it was hard to understand fully who it is that really doesn't like you. But that's also a point. Like, are there any allies in this group? Is it one person that doesn't like you? Is it the whole group? What is it? And also taking a look too, like if it is the whole group, maybe there is a blind spot that you have, that there's a reason why this group doesn't like you. And I'm not saying that that's like you're at fault or anything like that, but I think if it's one person or a couple people that just band together, that's different than like every single person in the group. And what is it? If it's a legit reason versus something like, oh, they think your partner should be with someone else that's like a different way than you, that's very different than if you've done something that's unintentionally bothered them. Also, if your partner starts to stick up for you more, then your friends will probably start to like them again too. And that reduces half of the load here.
There you go. Don't think about this as a test for your partner, but it is giving you information on how your partner perceives the situation. I had a friend who was dating this guy who had a lot of younger friends. And at first, they did not like her. They would tell him straight up, we don't like her. We think she's making you into a boring old man. You don't hang out with us anymore. We really don't like her. And as she was feeling this animosity towards her, she asked him to really go to each one-on-one to figure out what was happening. And when he did that in the group of 6 people, it was only one person who had negative feelings about her, but he had already tainted the rest of the group. And his reason for not liking her was because she was taking time away from him. It was all about him. It's like, oh, my friend is no longer hanging out with me. My one cool single buddy is no longer hanging out with me. And then she's like, see, is that really a friend you want to keep around?
I mean, I think that's the part that's so difficult sometimes with friends is what is the motive and where is this coming from? Like this is not a proud moment of mine, but we had an intervention once with one of my friends saying that like she should end it with her now husband and father of her children, who we all really love now. And we just didn't know him well enough. And even if it wasn't someone we would date, or even if it wasn't someone that we would hang out with, that wasn't a grounds to dislike him, right? Like there is a lid for every pot. We always say that. Unless someone's like treating your friend badly, then that's very different of disliking the person versus like they're either just taking time away from me as a friend, or they're not the person I would date, or, you know, whatever the reason is that just is so superficial at the end of the day. So I think getting to the actual reason is really important. I mean, I think the other piece too is how well have you gotten to know these people individually versus in a group is a big piece of it. We talked about it's like easier to make connections, make bonds when it is in smaller groups, I've found. Sometimes like big group mentality, like what you brought up, Yue, like one person could really start to like influence the rest of the people. And the more you can separate that, that's really important in starting to like make those connections with other people. Because if this is your partner for the long haul, like you don't need to be BFFs with all their friends, but you want to have a good relationship.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's also important to see who are the real friendships and who are the ones maybe like, maybe you don't get along, but you also deep down, you know, this person's not going to be around for forever, right? That we all have these like peripheral friends, acquaintances. Like those are people you don't really need to care about. But for the friends who do matter to your partner, those are the ones to spend more time. And I'm sure your partner would appreciate you spending that effort to get to know them better. But even if you do that and you still don't feel that same effort reciprocated, I think it's important to tell your partner, to let your partner know, hey, I'm not holding a grudge against this friend right here, but I just want you to know I reached out to them. I spent some time and effort trying to get to know them, and they surely expressed no interest back. My feelings aren't hurt, but just so you know, keep everybody in the loop. Don't let this slide because all of this has to do with your partner. Your partner should be in on it.
think the other thing that was brought up here, it sounds like a lot of this is the friends' significant others, like the other women in the group. And I don't think you need to be BFFs with them. Like maybe you don't want to be on terrible terms, but you don't necessarily have to be like hanging out every weekend. And I understand that it can be really painful, like if you're in a group setting and all of them know each other well and hang out all the time, but keeping it a little more, at bay and just like cordial, like that also could be a path forward, because ultimately these aren't even your friends' friends. They're like a few degrees separated. And the more like that you can just look at this as like, how do I, enjoy being in this group setting opposed to I need to be like best friends with this person.
Right.
So I want to keep going on like, how do you have the conversation with your partner of like finding solutions? Let's say the friends just aren't budging and they don't like you, your friends don't like them. What do you do from there? But before we do, let's take a quick break for a message from our sponsors.
This episode is sponsored by Via. We all know there are things that can help set the mood in the bedroom, but did you know a little THC could also do that? Yes, Via has developed a unique blend of pleasure-enhancing cannabinoids, libido-strengthening herbs, and a low dose of THC all into one mind-blowing gummy called High Love. This gummy, wow, it will awaken your senses, increase blood flow, and intensify any sexual experience. I've been pleasantly surprised by the High Love gummies because it is just the right amount of THC for me to have a good time without feeling sleepy. And hey, if THC is not your thing, Via also offers a wide array of other gummies without it. And everything legally ships in 50 states with discreet packaging directly to your door. So if you're over 21, you can get 15% off and a free pack of award-winning Dreams THC plus CBN sleep gummies with our exclusive code DATEABLE at viahemp.com. That's VIIAHEMP.com. Let the gummies work their magic. Head to viahemp.com and use the code DATEABLE to receive 15% off and one free sample of their Sleepy Dream gummies. That's viahemp.com and use the code DATEABLE at checkout. Take your passion and pleasure to a whole new level with High Love from Via Hemp.
As you know, I recently left my corporate job and I've been in total recovery mode, all about self-care. One of my new routines is the nighttime shower before bed. There's just something about washing away the day and that reflection that's been super helpful for me. I've been using one of our partners, Osea's Mega Moisture Duo. This combo body oil and body lotion are so freaking incredible. It literally feels like I'm at a spa. I realized that the secret is seaweed and other skin level ingredients that are normally reserved for face products. And that's why I was so excited when Osea became one of our partners. And, we're so grateful for partners like this because one, they keep the show going, but they're also super good for all of our listeners and for our own well-being. So if you want to have that nighttime bliss like I am doing, you can get 10% off your first order site-wide with code DATEABLE at oseamalibu.com. You'll get free samples with every order and free shipping on orders over $60. So head to oseamalibu.com and use the code DATEABLE for 10% off. Let us know which products you end up going with. Share them in social. Super excited to see what you end up choosing. So let's say you've tried to do individual group hangs, even if you've detached a bit and said like, I'll just hang out with this person in a group setting, don't need to be BFF with them, but you're still just feeling anxious. You don't feel good. You really dread being around these people.
Oof.
What do you do? How do you talk to your partner about this?
Oh, what a terrible position to be in. Again, there needs to be a conversation with a partner to let them know exactly where you're coming from. And hopefully the two of you can come to some sort of resolution. And as hard as this situation is, there may be some sort of compromise. There is some way, like with my ex, there were definitely a few friends I did not want to be around. So he made sure that when they were around, I wasn't,
Yeah.
and vice versa. It's not ideal though. It really is not ideal. So there still needs to be a more sustainable solution that you and your partner need to work towards. But the first step is let your partner know.
So I do remember one person that talked to, and she was saying how like she could just not break into this friend group because of like her race, and like she just felt like an outsider. And now they're married. So clearly, like, it didn't get in the way. And she said that, like, quite frankly, she just didn't go to some events. Like, she was very pick and choose on which one she was going to go to. And I'm curious your thoughts on that, because I definitely think that's one solution. You also have to look at, like, how often am I seeing these people?
Yeah.
Like, some people that you don't like, maybe you see them twice a year or once a year.
Yeah.
I feel like you can, like, that's a lot more manageable than maybe someone that you have to see once a month or once a week, you know? Like, that's a very different situation too. I'm mixed though, because like on one side, I like the idea of just like allowing someone to like have their life and you don't need to be involved in every aspect. And if you don't want to be around the friends, like you guys have more than enough time to do things that make you a happy couple. But then on the other side, I feel like there's still that tension and it's kind of just avoiding it. So I'm curious what you think on that and if this is a good approach.
I don't know. I'm so mixed on it. It just doesn't feel sustainable. I think for the short term, yeah, but can you imagine like 30 years?
Yeah, like I'm not going to go to this birthday party. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not a fun place to be. But maybe in 30 years, you're just, everyone's over it. By then you're like,
Maybe.
whatever. You know? No longer holding a grudge or whatever. I almost feel like anything where it feels like a dire situation, there needs to be a like come to Jesus moment. Like there needs to be some like, let's air it all out. Let's get it all on the table. Let's just talk it through. Even if we at the end of this hate each other more, at least we're able to express all of our feelings. The worst we can do is just bottle it up. But I don't think this is what you're talking about could be a sustainable solution for long term.
I mean, I think it would just bother me too if my partner never had my back on it. I mean, ultimately, that's the root of all this more than the friends.
So true.
Is are you going to be a unit together? And is your partner going to like fight and share with people? Like, I'm so glad my friend, when we had that intervention, was like, no, this person is good for me. They are the right person for me. And she stood her ground. And then ultimately we came around. So I think if your partner is wishy-washy and not standing up for you, then this allows this to perpetuate a lot longer also than if they're just like, this is my person. Like, they're not going anywhere, you know? Like, that is a very different stance.
Great question. Definitely makes me think a little bit about how I've done this in the past. I kind of blocked it all out of my memory, but I've definitely been in some of these scenarios. Again, great question. Thanks for sending it in. For everybody who has a dire dating question you want answered, the best thing to do is leave us a rating and review in Apple Podcasts, 5 stars, and in the body of the review, ask us your question. This gets bumped up to the front of the queue. Other ways you can send in your question, you can email us, hello@dateablepodcast.com. You can DM us on Instagram @dateablepodcast. You can tell us when you see us on the street, you can ask us questions.
You can pop out of the bushes at our homes. Just kidding.
Like there's
Please
so
don't.
many other ways. Telegram, whatever you need to do.
Just leave the review. It's the easiest.
Yeah, the review is the easiest. That's what we're trying to get you towards.
Okay. And yeah, make sure to subscribe, give us a rating, even if you don't have a question. Give us a rating anyways.
Yes.
Please 5 stars. It really helps us out. So thank you in
It sure
advance.
does.
And we love doing brunch talk. So let's keep it going.
Yeah. And with that, we're going to see you all next week.
See you next week.
The Dateable Podcast is part of the Frolic Media Network. Find more podcasts you'll love at frolic.media/podcasts. You can follow us on Instagram @Dateable Podcast and visit dateablepodcast.com for access to all the episodes and our premium programs. Also, make sure to subscribe today if you haven't already on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcast platform so you are the first to get all the latest episodes. And most importantly, stay dateable.